Howdy. What it do, boogity boos? Today, we're looking at a gun platform Voruna. This is not like crazy hard investment, but I still think it's funny and it works. It works better than I was expecting. Now, I do have 5 Archon shards, however, these are not important. These are all for a melee build that I was working on, so don't do this if you're going for a gun platform because this is all just melee crit damage. And we're obviously doing guns. And this is energy max just so that we would actually hit 500 for the crit damage. So none of these Archon shards are needed at all. I would probably, actually, I don't know what I would run yet, but none of those. Now, Voruna, her 4th ability, we're just going to assume you have at least some basic understanding of how Voruna works. Now, we're not going to be using her 4th ability. We got rid of that. But, the rest of her abilities do have value. Now, her 3rd ability, like a Sunt, is basically just energy economy at the end of the day. That's all it really does for you. Melee kills make health orbs, and headshot kills make energy orbs. Well, we're going to be able to get headshot kills with our guns, so, infinite energy pretty much. You can actually replace equilibrium if you feel like you don't need it. I like to have the extra energy just to be safe. I like playing on the safe side a lot of the time, but you don't need that. Her 1st ability, Shrouded Dinar, still gives us invis. Now, of course, it will break when you shoot your gun, but it's on-demand invis if we need to get out of a tight spot, and it gives us a ton of movement speed. And even though the melee crit damage doesn't really do a lot for us, having invis and movement speed is still very, very nice to have. And then there's Fangs of Raksh. Now, this right here is what makes Voruna so good. Not just in a melee build, but in any build. This is what makes her so spicy. Its status effects. Raksh's fangs tear into your enemies. 5 random status effects are applied at 10 stacks each on an enemy. On target's death, spread the status effects to other nearby enemies. Notice how it does not say on melee kill. It simply says on target's death, it will spread them. What that means is that our guns can still spread them. Now, unfortunately, this does not work how I thought it did before I had Voruna, or how I wish it worked. That it doesn't like cascade. It's only going to spread statuses from the enemy you hit with fangs. So if you hit an enemy with fangs of Raksh, they die, they spread the statuses. Killing all of those enemies is not going to spread them further. It's not the end of the world, though. You can just cast the ability again. And you want to go pretty high range, so that goes everywhere. Because the base spread radius is 7 meters, so with overextended and stretch, we go up to a nice, chunky 16.45 meters. We have Brief Respite, catalyzing shields, so we have survivability with a shield gate. And we'll be able to get our shield gate back, right? Like, just casting Shroud Dinar gives us most of our shields back. So if you're about to die, cast this, go invis, get a ton of movement speed, get your shields back, and you're chilling. Amar's Anguish, the Exilus is totally whatever you want. I just have this because parkour velocity parkour velocity and sprint speed are both very nice. And the teleport on a heavy attack with a melee is funny if you're using a melee weapon. Primed Continuity for duration, Primed Flow for energy max, and Damage Decoy is what we're running here. Now, there are some other options you can run for a weapons platform, right? Like Eclipse or Roar or something like that. But I like Damage Decoy because it gives us even more status spreading on top of Fangs of Raksh. Because now we get 5 random statuses every time an enemy attacks our decoy. And this also has super high aggro, giving us even more survivability. I think it just fits really nicely, and I like it a lot. Molt Augmented for more strength, so that we get extra. Wait a second. Why do I have Molt Augmented on? We don't need higher strength here, honestly. I mean, it will help our decoy, but we don't really need it for anything else. We still want Blind Rage here because it gives us more energy cost for our Brief Respite, right? And we don't want like negative range because the extra damage can be nice in decoy. But you don't need this. So I don't know why I had Molt Augmented on. I must have been testing it because that makes no sense. Aegis is here just for extra survivability, even more so we don't get absolutely dookied on. Now, since this is a gun platform build, you can run something else here, like an arcane that gives you extra stuff on your weapons. Fire rate for your pistols. I sold mine. That gives me fire rate and damage on primaries. I don't have rage or whatever the other one is, the one that's for primaries, I don't think. Velocity trigger, awakening, acceleration. Oh no, I do have acceleration. Well, yeah, I guess you could run this if you wanted more fire rate. I think more damage would be better because you can get fire rate from like Nautilus, which is also something that we are going to be running, but that's entirely up to you. For now, I'm not really sure. We'll just leave augmented on, even though it does nothing for us. Now, we want to maximize our priming. And grouping is also nice here. So the typical Nautilus Prime, most broken companion in the game. Or there's another option, which would be a Hound. Hounds are pretty good for priming. I don't use Hounds very often in my builds. I don't even know if I've shown a Hound in any of my build videos. I do use Hounds somewhat on my own, not that often, but typically I like Nautilus more. It depends on what you're looking for, but in this case, I feel like the Hound is going to be extra spicy for all of the different statuses. This is a pretty typical status priming build. We want manifold bonds so that its abilities can spread the statuses on the weapon. Which, with the weapon, here's all the stuff we have on. We have impact, puncture, electric, radiation, and viral. That's a lot of statuses. And we get magnetic from Repo Audit. And this has a 30-meter range. Then we have Synth Deconstruct, lots of health orbs, evasive denial so it doesn't get clapped out its cheeks as often, and Energized Prospectus so it can spread sparks for even more status spreading everywhere. Momentous Bond to help bring it back to life, Guardian to help keep us alive. The typical stuff. I almost want to switch Guardian Prospectus, but we'll leave Guardian on the right side. If you feel like you're struggling to survive, you can move these around. Give Guardian the highest priority so you get more survivability, but you'll sacrifice a bit of your priming because it'll prioritize the ability based off of where the mod is placed. So whatever one you want to be cast the most or more often than the others, like prioritized based off of if they're off cooldowns, it'll be top, left, right, like reading a book for importance. Top left the most important, bottom right the least important. So that's the companion. We're going to stick with that, yeah, instead of Nautilus for now. And because we're focusing very heavily on status spreading here, we really need a weapon that can maximize the use of condition overload. And it'll be extra good if you're using a weapon that has multiplicative gun CO. So, well, there's already lots of weapons with multiplicative gun CO, but one of my personal favorite weapons is, of course, the Paris Prime in Charon, because it's so very snazzy. You could also go with Comrex that does not have multiplicative CO. Honestly, gun CO wouldn't even be good on it, to be totally honest. Or you could go Nadaruk, though Nadaruk I don't really like overkilling on fire rate. We'll go Nadaruk just because more people have it. It performs similarly to Paris. I prefer Paris, I think it's better and I like it more, but Nadaruk is more readily available. And it's still a very, very fun weapon. We're going to be using a corrosive build because we have no armor stripping in our builds. Keep that in mind. This is no armor stripping. If you wanted armor stripping, where is it? You could go... I got rid of it, son of a bitch. You could just go with Ophanim Eyes from Jade. It's her helmet ability. I would put that over her 4 if you want the armor stripping on a gun platform. But right now, I really wanted to use Damage Decoy because it's funny and I like the stats spreading. So that's what I'm doing. So we're going to be using Corrosive here, and we're already getting viral from our pet and stuff, so we don't need to worry about that. So Amalgam Serration, Galvanized Aptitude, Vile Acceleration, fix the horrible fire rate, High voltage malignant force, so we get corrosive and high status. Vital sense for crit damage, galvanized chamber, multi-shot, critical chance from critical delay, and longbow shark shot because it gives a ton of damage. And of course, galvanized aptitude is multiplicative on the Nadaruk for big PP damage. And the same can be applied to your secondary, right? Like if you use one that's got galvanized, or not galvanized, multiplicative gun CO, it's going to really benefit. So like Prisma Angstrom, Fireball gun. This thing's really fun and it's very effective and it has multiplicative gun CO. So like here you could run a viral heat build if you wanted, or pure heat, whatever you prefer. I'm going to go with viral heat just for now. And then in here, I would go either Uneru if you really need armor strip in a centralized area, or Vazarin for even more survivability. It's up to you. I'm going to put Uneru on for now, though. The armor strip zone from Uneru is not massive, but it still can be nice. Like, if you really need it, then make sure you use that. And then, of course, because we're Voruna, we can use the passive for complete status immunity, which is very, very nice, to say the least. Let us go ahead and simulate these enemies. This guy is going to apply radiation, and then they're going to unpause, which is annoying, so I should probably actually make myself invincible, so don't have to deal with that. In we go. Fangs of Rock, this guy right here. And as soon as he dies, he's going to spread it. We can cast our decoy. Oh wait, you need to cast damage decoy on an enemy for it to actually work. Now, make sure you kill an enemy that has the fangs applied to them, all of the statuses, because only the enemy you hit is going to spread it. You want to kill it before the statuses run out. Look at that, bro. Look, dude. So many statuses on all of these enemies. And you can just apply that and spread all of the statuses everywhere. Is it the most effective thing in the world? No. But think about it this way. You are helping your teammates, right? Like, let's say your teammates are running a Mirage or somebody that's really made for a weapons platform. Well, now they have a billion statuses on all of the enemies all around at all times. So you're actually more of like a support. You're priming for your team. You are a big PP primer. Your pet is priming everywhere. Your Fangs of Rock is priming everywhere. Your damage decoy is priming everywhere. This build is really good for a team setup. I feel like that's something I kind of want to focus more on as of late. I was watching one of, here actually, before I get into that, we are going to go into an actual mission and show this in mission. And I can talk about it while we go there. I was watching a stream, I think it was a few days ago. The YouTuber named Nova Umbral was streaming, doing like a defense level cap with two other content creators. I think it was Nev and Gamble. Wait, why am I going here? I want to go navigation. And something that came up as a topic that really spoke to me, right, really intrigued me, was Nev talking about how everybody builds for solo, right? They never build for stuff assuming you have teammates, and this is a co-op game. And I was like, you know what? That's so true. I kind of want to do some more stuff that works in team scenarios. Well, I guess we'll just solo a Netracell. Why not? Why not? So, yeah, he was talking about that, and I was like, you know what? I feel like that would be really cool to do, because I may not make like videos usually centered around that, but I do play with my friends with that in mind a lot of the time. Like, I'll play for whatever I need to help set up my my friend showed, so that he has it easier. Even if it's something as simple as running Voracious Metastasis on Hildren. That's not that hard to do, and it's not like the most insane synergy of all time, but it's infinite energy. Even something as simple as that, people don't usually do. You can make some pretty crazy setups in teams when you have everybody play around each other. And that's kind of what this is really doing here. It's making it so everything's primed for your teammates, because you will be, of course, you'd have more damage if you just played Mirage or Lavos, right? Like, you can get more damage from an actual guns platform, but this gives more support. Alright, I'm going to trim out the stuff on the way to the circle, so I'll see you there, so you don't have to watch me hack everything. Oh wow. Doody-dotty-doo, here we are again. Now, to you, that was a mere instantaneous trim in which I was magically in the circle, whereas I was not before. However, on my end, I got absolutely dookie dunked on and died because I was like, hey, you know what? I've got time to grab some Stella, right? Totally. Well, I ended up getting murdered while I was trying to grab Stella, and I had to restart the run. But you didn't have to see that, so you're welcome. Now, something I realized that is a bit annoying with the Murmur specifically. It's not really an issue with most other enemies. I mean, it can be a little annoying with the Infested, but typically speaking, I don't have it as a problem with most enemies, other than the Murmur, is getting headshots. Because these guys, a lot of these enemies just straight up don't have things that count as heads that can trigger, what is it, longbow sharp shot? Yeah, that's the thing. And longbow sharp shot is where a lot of your damage comes from when you're using a bow. Assuming you have longbow sharp shot, of course. But if you have longbow sharp shot, it's where a lot of your damage comes from. So not having it is a bit of a yikes when it doesn't proc. At least the Murmur are still fairly easy to kill in general, regardless. But I thought that's something I should probably mention. You just apply that, let the statuses spread, and then I got down because I suck at this game. Luckily, raising myself isn't an issue. I need some freaking energy though. Booga booga. Look at that. We're already onto the Netramite. I got really unlucky with buffs. Or not buffs, debuffs. Got the one that drains my energy when enemies are around. And I also got the one that makes me lose HP on ability casts. Those ones are both really annoying to deal with. But we should be able to handle this just fine. Now, I know it's kind of weird to be advertising this as like a support build kind of thing, right? Like you use it with your teammates, and then I'm doing a solo Netracell. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I don't have any friends on right now, and I'd rather not just do a random ass mission with blueberries and then like get a Saren that kills everything, because that would be a bit counterproductive. Couldn't really show off the build then. Something nice with Fangs of Rock is when you cast, you actually get iframes. I mean, it's not like the most insane thing ever. They don't last a huge amount of time, but it's still nice. Just a little nice added benefits. I need these guys to sit there, like actually get in the circle. That would be nice. Hey, I gotta get an itch. This is the kind of build that I would definitely use when playing with my friends. I feel like next time I do a level cap Void Cascade, I'm gonna use this probably. That sounds interesting to me. Again, like I mentioned with the damage decoy in the simulacrum, is you want to make sure you cast on enemy, because you don't get the status spreading, I don't think, if you don't cast it on an actual enemy. So you really want to make sure you do that right. Easy res. Doesn't even matter that I suck ass, because I can just res myself. Very balanced game, yes, yes. Oh my god, your boy's so bad at the game, but we're getting through. This is honestly more difficult than a level cap run would probably be in Void Cascade, or any level cap in general, probably, just because the debuffs are really annoying, and you don't have to deal with these debuffs in other activities, or at least not usually. So the main issue right now of like energy sometimes, and surviving, that's not going to be a problem when you're actually in mission, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. How dare you try to summon a necromech in my domain? You're just mad that you don't got that big PP energy like Voruna, aren't you, little silly murmur enemies? Let me cast my invis before I get dookie-dookied. What the? Did I get staggered there or what? Oh, I just realized I never, I never used my, my passive to get that status immunity. Make sure you do that. That's pretty huge to get complete status immunity. The problem is that you have to cast it once you're in mission, and I forget to do that a lot of the time. Doody-dotty-doo. There we go, on to the next Netromite. I love big damage bows like Paris and Nadaruk. They're so satisfying. I still like Paris more, but I've been using Nadaruk more over Paris lately just because you don't have to activate the Incarnate mode. Activating the Paris in Incarnate mode isn't an issue, but I've been like doing liches and missions that aren't always on Steel Path. And, well, when enemies die immediately, it's kind of annoying to try to build up your Incarnate. So, Nadaruk just works better for that. Come here, little bitch boy. That's gonna use you as a priming tool. Beautiful. I love it when it gets cold, and if you kill the guy with cold, it spreads it all and just freezes an entire group of enemies. It's totally RNG if you have that happen, but when it does happen, it's very juicy. And come on, can I? Oh, I'm out of energy. I was like, why can't I? I was confused. Why couldn't it target anything? Your boy was so very confused. There we go. The problem is I have no energy now. Again. I say the word again way too much, but this energy issues will never be an issue in normal missions where you don't have a debuff sucking away all of your energy at all times. Because I think it's like I lose energy per second per enemy near me. I think it's like 2 energy per second per enemy that's close to me. That's a lot of energy right there. Ooga booga, don't you dare murder me. And even though this is just a Netrocell, right, like this isn't super difficult, not having armor strip isn't affecting us too much. I mean, we have armor strip on Nadaruk by having corrosive, but it's like a hard hitting weapon. We're not getting like a ton of status effects, and it's obviously we have to like shoot him with this weapon, whereas if I were to switch to my pistol, we wouldn't have the corrosive. We would still have heat, but it's not that much of an issue. And if this is meant to be used in a team, then you can always just have a teammate with armor strip. The chances that you're going to be in a full squad and nobody has armor strip, let's be honest, that's never going to happen. Not in 2024, not nowadays. If you enter a mission and none of your 4 squad mates have any armor strip, I would be baffled. That's just highly unlikely. Usually, at most, there'll be 1 guy without armor strip, and that's usually the Mastery 11 guy that's playing Excalibur. That's probably helmeted on, like, I don't freaking know. What's a really shitty helmet ability? Helmet something over the Exalted Blade. Bro, can I break this? There we go. Holy fuck. That was taking a long time to break. I think you get the idea of the Voruna build. Maybe you actually enjoyed the in-mission stuff, since there's some people that want that. I personally don't think it really matters too much, but you saw, it worked. Lots of statuses everywhere, all the time. Very effective. I may have been downed, what, twice? 2-3 times? But last gasp is broken, so assuming you have that, you just res yourself in. You won't have the issue of losing your freaking HP and running out of energy when you're not on an Netrocell. that's gonna do it for this video. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe. Adios.